Imagine this. She sits there staring at her phone. The screen lights up, but it's not you. Another message, another distraction, another man's words she doesn't care about. But yours are missing. And in that silence, in that absence, her mind begins to twist against itself. The most dangerous thing you can do to a woman is nothing. Not yelling, not chasing, not proving, nothing. Because silence is the battlefield where her demons come out to fight. And whether you realize it or not, silence is the sharpest weapon Amen has ever carried. This is not about petty games. This is not manipulation, this is mastery. This is the kind of power only a man who has conquered himself can wield. And today you're going to learn why silence is a man's deadliest weapon. Why indifference breaks her faster than anger ever could, and how to use Stoic philosophy to transform yourself into the kind of man she can't predict, can't push, and can't forget. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand this truth, you will never see relationships or power the same way again. Act 1. The Power of Absence. Centuries ago, Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." He didn't shout at his enemies. He didn't waste words trying to prove himself. He remained calm, silent, unshaken. And that silence, that calmness terrified them more than any sword. Because think about it, when someone insults you and you react with anger, they know they've struck you. But when they insult you and you do nothing, when you look through them as if they don't exist, that is unbearable. And in relationships, the same principle holds true. Most men don't realize this. They believe they gain power by talking more, by explaining themselves, by justifying, by begging, by chasing. But the more words you spill, the weaker you look, because here's the truth. Women are conditioned to deal with drama. They know how to handle arguments. They know how to manipulate emotion. They thrive in that battlefield. But silence is alien to them. Silence is terrifying because silence forces them to confront the one thing they can't control, themselves. Picture this. A woman accuses you of something, pushes your buttons, tests you, tries to provoke a reaction. If you fight, she wins. If you beg, she wins. If you try to prove yourself, she wins. But if you say nothing, if you stay calm, silent and control, she is left fighting with shadows. Her mind becomes her own worst enemy. Because silence is not empty, it is full of echoes. And every echo comes from her own insecurity. That's why absence is power. That's why the most dangerous thing you can do is nothing. Act 2. Attention is currency. In the modern world, attention is the new gold. Women know this better than anyone. Social media thrives on it. Instagram, TikTok, dating apps, they are built on the economy of attention. Men give it away like beggars. They pour it out endlessly. Likes, comments, validation, reassurance. They sell their attention for nothing. But the Stoic man knows better. He knows attention is not free. He knows attention is power. And the moment you withdraw your attention, you create scarcity. Scarcity creates value, and value creates fear of loss. Think about it. What happens when a man stops texting back? What happens when a man doesn't reply instantly? What happens when he doesn't jump every time she calls? Her brain goes into survival mode. Why isn't he responding? Where is she? Who is he with? Has he moved on? That spiral isn't caused by anger. It isn't caused by arguments. It's caused by nothing. Your silence forces her to fill in the blanks. And the human brain hates blanks. It hates uncertainty. When you're always available, she knows where she stands. When you go silent, she loses her balance. And in that imbalance, she realizes how much your attention mattered. Attention is the fuel of her ego, and silence is the starvation of it. That's why the most powerful thing a man can do is nothing. Act 3. The Mirror of Silence. Silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of power, because silence acts like a mirror. When you argue, she focuses on your flaws. When you beg, she focuses on your weakness. When you over-explain, she focuses on your desperation. But when you go silent, she sees herself, her doubts, her insecurities, her fears, and she projects them onto your silence. If she is insecure, your silence becomes rejection. If she is guilty, your silence becomes judgment. If she is manipulative, your silence becomes resistance. She cannot escape her self-insolence, and that is why it terrifies her more than any words ever could. There is an old saying, when you argue with a fool, you become a fool. But when you go silent, the fool is exposed. Silence is not passive. It is active. It is not weakness. It is a weapon. It is not emptiness. It is fullness. Because when you say nothing, she hears everything. Act 4. Stoic weaponry. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Epictetus taught, "We suffer not from events but from our judgments about them." In other words, the power is never in what happens. It isn't how you respond. And sometimes the strongest response is none at all. The Roman general Scipio was once insulted publicly. Instead of retaliating, he smiled and walked away. That silence made his enemies look small and made him look untouchable. The Stoics mastered this. They knew silence was not just restraint. It was dominance, because silence proves one thing: self-mastery. And self-mastery is the one trait every woman cannot resist. You can lose money, you can lose status, you can lose looks. But if you have self-mastery, you will never lose respect. And silence is the purest display of it. Act 5, modern application. So how do you apply this in your own life? Here's how the weapon of silence works in 3 arenas. 1. Relationships. Stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying every move. Stop trying to convince her of your worth. When she tests you, stay calm. When she tries to provoke you, don't react. Your silence will speak louder than any argument ever could. 2. Business. In negotiations, silence is leverage. The man who speaks first loses. The man who can wait, who can pause, who can sit in silence while others squirm, that is the man who wins. 3. Conflict. When anger comes at you, don't meet it with anger. Don't feed it with energy. Silence will drain it of its power. Just as a fire dies without oxygen, conflict dies without reaction. In every sphere of life, silence is not weakness. It is strength. It is not retreat. It is strategy. It is not nothing. It is everything. Act 6, transformation arc. Now imagine 2 men. The first is predictable. He argues when provoked. He texts constantly. He explains himself endlessly. He chases, he pleads, he reacts. The second man, he's calm. He is silent. He is unshakable. When tested, he smiles. When insulted, he stays still. When ignored, he withdraws into silence. Which man do you think a woman fears losing? Which man do you think she obsesses over? It's not the loud man. It's not the predictable man. It's the silent one. Because if she can't read you, she can't control you. If she can't control you, she can't forget you. And if she can't forget you, she will never stop chasing you. That's the transformation. That's the shift from weakness to power, from noise to silence. Act 7. Here's the truth most men will never accept. The most dangerous thing you can do to a woman isn't to shout. It isn't to leave. It isn't even to fight. It's to do nothing. Nothing is louder than silence. Nothing is scarier than indifference. Nothing is more unforgettable than nothing. Your silence is the storm she cannot control. It is the battlefield she cannot win. It is the mirror she cannot face. And once you understand this, once you master this, you will carry a power that few men ever discover. So hear me clearly. Do not waste your breath trying to prove yourself. Do not burn your energy chasing validation. Do not sell your attention cheaply, because the man who controls his words, the man who controls his emotions, the man who controls his silence, that man is dangerous. The most dangerous thing you can do to a woman is nothing. Master silence. Master yourself, and you will become the man she can't predict, can't push, and can't forget.